CBS. Welcome home.
The most compelling action is on CBS Sports.
The Indy Racing League, where technology meets tradition and speed joins spectacle. From the hallowed ground of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to the short flat ovals to the brightly lit jewels of super speedways, Texas, and now Charlotte, where the action is electrifying at speeds well in excess of 200 miles per hour. The Indy Racing League comes to Charlotte. Led by Arie Luyendyk, winner of 2 of the last 3 races, the Indy 500 champion starts from the front row. Davey Hamilton from the short tracks with super modifieds to now the IRL point leader. Tony Stewart has led every race this year, but did not go to victory lane until just 1 race ago in Colorado. From Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Visionaire 500 for the Indy Racing League. They now race stock cars at the Brickyard, so bring the Indy cars on down to the heart of NASCAR country and turn them loose. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Joy. Joining me, the 1996 co-champion of the IRL, Scott Sharp. Now, you've tested here. What about running Indy cars on these high banks?
It's a true thrill, Mike, to run the new IRL cars on these high banks. The 24 degrees not only let them run some tremendous speeds, but it creates the opportunity for multiple grooves, creating real wheel-to-wheel racing.
And we saw just that in the first IRL night race at Texas. How about this battle for the lead?
Tony Stewart in the yellow car, Buddy Lazier in the purple car. Both cars could go low, high, true wheel-to-wheel battling.
It's great fun for these drivers, some of whom have never run 200 miles per hour before, and it's a great treat for the fans. But is it treacherous?
The drivers are worried out there. It's so fast here. 215, 216 average, over 220. Drivers are worried about getting caught up in someone else's accident, not having enough time to react. The spotters are going to play a big role today.
Well, let's go down and meet the drivers who will start on the front row. Earlier, Mike King spoke with the front row sitters.
There's no place like home. There's no place like home. No, we're not talking about Kansas. We're talking about the front row. 7 of 8 Indy Racing League events this season. That's where you've been able to find Tony Stewart on the front row. And for the 4th time in 6 events, Tony, you sit on the pole. 217 miles an hour, your qualifying speed, over 215 miles an hour on full tanks. Can we expect to see those kinds of speeds during this race?
I don't know. You know, nobody's really ran at night here with the weather we've had from the hurricane. None of us have really had a chance to run in the dark yet. So we really don't know what the lights are going to be like other than what we had in testing, but we sure don't know what the race speed's going to be yet.
Good luck to you tonight, Tony, as he starts on the pole. Well, it is hot, it is humid, and it is high bank. This man has won 2 of the last 3 Indy Racing League events. He'll start on the outside of 1. Arie Luyendyk, how much will the factors of this race, physically and condition-wise, play into fatigue during this event?
I think this race is going to be very hard on the drivers just because of the bumpiness of the racetrack, especially between 3 and 4. And coming into the pits, the warm-up lanes are very bumpy, and we have to use those leaving and also coming into the pits. So I think this is going to be one of the toughest races for the drivers physically, and with the humidity, it's going to even aggravate that more.
Arie Luyendyk will start on the outside of row 1. It will be Tony Stewart on the pole. Now let's go to Brian Hammonds.
Mike, A.J. Foyt is the car owner for both cars in row 2. Starting 3rd, Billy Boat. His best qualifying effort yet. He was very strong in the other night race a few weeks ago in Texas. Expect him to be strong tonight. He actually took the flag, the checkered flag first, but a scoring error bumped him back to 2nd place. Starting alongside his teammate Davey Hamilton, the points leader in the IRL. His best finish has only been 3rd place. He's doing it with consistency. He's finished every race. Nobody else can say that. He wants to do more here in Charlotte than just finish. He wants to finish first. Mike Joy.
23 teams stand at the ready. Let's go trackside for the command.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
At Charlotte Motor Speedway, they have fired the engines. The Indy Racing League is about to make its first appearance here.
The IRL Charlotte 500K is sponsored by True Value, Pennzoil, Firestone, and by Aurora by Oldsmobile.
Here's the way they line up for the Visionaire 500. Tony Stewart on the pole. Finally, a winner at Colorado 1 race ago. The Indy 500 and Texas winner, Arie Luyendyk, shares the front row. Billy Boat subbing for Scott Sharp. He led a lot at Texas. And Davey Hamilton, the point leader. Row number 3, Buddy Lazier, the 96 Indy winner, and Jim Guthrie, victorious at Phoenix. Roberto Guerrero, twice second in Indy, and so was Scott Goodyear. They share the 4th row. Stefan Gregoire, second in Colorado, and Mark Dismore, a 24 Hours of Daytona winner. In row 6, Marco Greco, 5th in the point standings, and Vincenzo Sospiri, who started on the front row at Indy. Jimmy Kite had never gone 200 miles an hour before this weekend, and he was fast in last night's practice. Eliseo Salazar, winner in World Sports Car Competition. In row 8, Eddie Cheever, the ex-Formula One driver who won at Orlando, and Afonso Giaffoni, who drives for the Chitwood brothers. In row number 9, Greg Ray, driving for stock car magnate Richard Childress, and Kenny Breck, who led a lot at Phoenix. In row number 10, Jack Miller has the only Infinity power plant in the field, and Robbie Groff, a graduate of 3/4 midgets and Indy Lights. In row 11, former sports car champ John Paul Jr., who won the Michigan 500 in '83, and Mike Groff, who also comes up from Indy Lights. And in the 12th row will be Sam Schmidt, former SCCA champion, a graduate of Formula 2000. Charlotte Motor Speedway, a 1.5-mile quad oval, where turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are each banked 24 degrees, 5-degree banking on the straightaways, and the double dogleg along the front stretch. You'll be riding along with Tony Stewart, starting from the pole. There's Roberto Guerrero in the number 21, former pole sitter at Indy. Scott Goodyear starting alongside Guerrero in car number 6. Kenny Breck, who's had some troubles here this weekend and is deep in the field, starting 18th. And Mike Groff, who rolls off from the all crutches 11th row. He and John Paul Jr. on the mend and coming back. Looking for the green flag, and we're racing at Charlotte. Out of turn 2, Tony Stewart is expected the leader, but here comes Luyendyk down the backstretch.
And boy, that's Davey Hamilton right there in the orange and white car going on the inside of Arie Luyendyk. Good move.
Bold move by Hamilton as they wanted to get single file before turn 4.
Davey was really strong yesterday's practice session. I expect him. He's in a points race with Tony, and he's going to go challenge him.
Tony Stewart picked up 2 points for winning the pole to close that gap. It is Stewart in yellow, Hamilton in red and white on the right of your screen. Luyendyk fighting off a challenge from Billy Boat. You're riding with Kenny Breck.
Kenny's had a tough weekend dealing with some motor problems. Has a long way to go to work his way up through the field here, but I think you'll see him go.
Through the quad oval, back to turn 1. These cars are some 40 miles an hour faster than the Winston Cup cars here at Charlotte, and they just rocket around this speedway. Here comes Buddy Lazier in purple and yellow underneath Billy Boat.
He also ran well in yesterday's afternoon session. Expect to see a strong run from him all day.
Scott, the pass made at turn 4. That's the one place most drivers said they didn't want to try to pass here.
It's a bit daunting up there. There's some big bumps. You don't want to be the guy going around the outside of turn 4, that's for sure. But Buddy Lazier was able to just put it right down on the inside of Billy and pull the pass off.
Billy Boat tries to return the favor, dropping underneath Lazier, who comes down to cover the spot. Car length lead for Stewart.
I talked to Buddy Lindblom, who is the team manager for Arie Luyendyk right before the race, and he was real concerned. He didn't seem too optimistic. He was worried that Arie might just fade a little bit here. They've been struggling a little bit, even though Arie was able to pull out a good qualifying run.
Lazier and Boat. Buddy Lazier in purple. Billy Boat and then blue and white number 1 of A.J. Foyt, keeping close tabs on one another. And going after Lyondike toward turn 1, there's Lazier working hard on the outside, 2 abreast in turn 1. Lazier's going to make the pass coming off turn 2.
That's a strong move, I tell you. Be able to go around the outside this early in the race.
Billy Boat looking in, who led an awful lot of Texas, got the checkered flag, the scoring recheck. Took him out of victory lane. Also, Mark Dismore has come from 10th on the grid up to 6th position. A lot of shuffling here in this early going. Jack Miller down on the apron and in trouble between turns 3 and 4. The only Infiniti Nissan power plant in the field. As Nissan not leaving the series, they're regrouping, working on their reliability and power. But something's wrong with Miller's car. Tony Stewart up front. There's Davey Hamilton in 2nd, Lazier in 3rd, and Billy Boat coming on for 4th on the bottom of the racetrack, passing Lyondike.
Looked like Ari is just trying to get a real feel for his car, try to get comfortable right now. Doesn't look like he's too quick to try to fend off these guys. A lot of time left. Long race here.
Look on the right side of your screen. Is that Dismore coming up to challenge Lyondike? He started back in 10th.
Boy, he's flying. They've had a tough time. They had to change the motor right before qualifying. They felt like they maybe were going to take a little bit of a chance with their setup, maybe just hit it right for the race.
There are 2 chassis builders in IRL, G-Force and Dallara. A 3rd, Riley and Scott, very successful in World Sports Car Racing. And Mark Dismore will debut the new Riley and Scott car in New Hampshire next race. It doesn't look like you get any chance to relax here. These cars look so fast around this speedway.
Well, you're almost turning the same speed you run at Indy, but it's a mile shorter. So you're constantly working all the way around the racetrack. And you feel like you never have a chance to catch your breath. No straightaway to really relax on.
Dismore tracks Ari Lyondike. This battle is for 5th place. They take it back to turn 1.
I think you'll see Dismore get him. He's taking his time working him, but obviously he's not having a problem running with Ari. Just has to pick the right spot to do it in.
How close can he get before the air off of Lyondike's car upsets Dismore?
You really have to try to make a run on him. Mark's going to just keep working on him. Here we see Greg Ray. Boy, he's really jumped up. He's come from 17th on the grid. He's flying in this black car, number 31.
That's the Richard Childress-owned car, a deal put together in just 48 hours last week. For Greg Ray to run here for Richard Childress, who owns the Winston Cup team that Dale Earnhardt and Mike Skinner drive for.
Greg blew an oil pump and almost had no practice time. Was able to come out and really qualify pretty well. And he's just come on strong as the weekends progressed.
He works underneath Eliseo Salazar to move up tonight. Race for 2nd place.
Well, I tell you, I felt that Buddy Lazier might be tough, and he's really coming on at an early point. He's willing to pushing hard right now.
Buddy Lazier in purple and Dayglow yellow, and that's point leader Davey Hamilton in the red and white A.J. Foyt car.
Now we also see Billy Boat sort of eking into the right side of your picture there. That's going to become a good 3-car battle.
Meanwhile, Tony Stewart has opened up a sizable lead, half the length of the back straightaway. And here's your 2nd place race. Hamilton in red, Lazier in purple, Boat in blue and white. 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Lyondike is 5th, Dismore still 6th. Guerrero is 7th, Scott Goodyear is 8th, Greg Ray up to 9th ahead of Salazar.
At this point in time, the driver's really starting to feel what they have, what kind of speed they have. They burned off a little bit of fuel. Tires are good and warm. It's a good time that they really try to pick up the pace at this point in time, see exactly how fast the car is.
They've refired Jack Miller and the Indianapolis Dentist coming back on the track. As close call here with traffic. 3 wide. That's hard to believe.
Woo, that was close. Boy, I wasn't sure if Davey saw Buddy duck underneath him. It looked like Davey got a little held up by the lap car, and Buddy just kept the pedal to the metal on that one.
And that looks the kind of opportunism you're talking about, where Lazier saw that perhaps Hamilton might get balked by the car in front.
When you have a good handling car, it's so important to try to keep your momentum going, not have to lift too hard. If you have to go around the outside of a slow car, do it. Obviously, Buddy recognized that Davey was going to be a little bit held up and was able to take advantage of it.
15 laps were caution-free at Charlotte. And moving past traffic comes Lazier. That's Sam Schmidt, who started shotgun on the field. With 15 complete, Tony Stewart leads Buddy Lazier, Davey Hamilton, Billy Boat, and Mark Dismore at Charlotte. At Charlotte Motor Speedway, Tony Stewart, the runaway leader, but Buddy Lazier has cleared himself of traffic and is closing in. Davey Hamilton in third, Billy Boat, and Mark Dismore, rather. Let's go to Mike King.
Larry Curry is the team manager for Team Menard. Tony's complained a little bit of picking up a push. How's the car?
No, he says now that the fuel, we're down to half tanks, it's starting to come more to a balance. We're in the cruise gear right now, and long way to go in this race.
Tony Stewart complained a little bit earlier, just a few laps ago, about a push, but with the half-tank situation now in effect, he seems to be able to find the car equalizing a bit. He now has a better condition.
Scott, these cars carry 35 gallons of methanol, and in a car that only weighs 1,600 pounds, the fuel load seems like it can really have a drastic effect on how the car handles.
It really does. It can really slow you down when you're carrying a full load. You really feel like you almost are dragging a trailer behind you. But when you burn the fuel off, you just feel so much freer. The car feels so much faster. Generally, it gets a little more neutral, less of a what we call push, where the front wants to wash out.
For 8th place, a little deeper in the field.
Well, you can sort of see exactly what Arie Luyendijk's team manager was worried about. Arie's fading. These guys have really caught him up one after the other.
He rode with Scott Goodyear as he closed up on that pack. Goodyear behind Afonso Giafoni, and just ahead, Goodyear's teammate Arie Luyendijk. Rush hour traffic.
Boy, big time. Scott's right now trying to just use traffic to his advantage, hopefully get around the outside here and keep moving. Wow, close call.
That is a very tight 5-car pack as they go back to turn 1. Patience appears to be a virtue here.
Boy, it's important. You really, you got to take advantage of traffic. At the same time, you don't want to risk yourself and put yourself in a vulnerable position.
Giafoni in 10th place, looking to the inside. May have the move on Scott Goodyear here. Nope. Greg Ray up to 7th place. He has passed by this group of cars.
Giafoni with a good draft. Try to get on. Oh, boy, they got close. Scott Goodyear, I don't think he saw him till the last minute. Whew.
Goodyear entered the corner high. Tried to come down to run the line that's used by these Indy cars here. Couldn't get there. Here's Giafoni still on the bottom, still trying to move on up.
Underneath Arie Luyendijk. Boy, Arie's really fading back now. I think here goes Scott Goodyear, try to draft to go on the inside of him. And he gets him. Wow. Wonder what kind of problems Arie's having. Look, you can just see there, that was the trouble area everybody talks about over the bumps. You could really hear the engine lift from Scott Goodyear. Just at this point in time, still taking it a little easy through there. Whereas here, you can hear the noise almost flat out.
All right, let's listen as we get to turn 3. Sounds like he's really feathering that throttle.
I think he had to. Also, the traffic was holding him up a little bit. But yeah, turn 3 and 4 definitely much rougher than 1 and 2.
Lapping past Stéphane Grégoire. As you ride with Scott Goodyear around Charlotte Motor Speedway at well over 200 miles per hour. Last lap for Goodyear, just a shade past 200. And trouble for Greg Ray.
Oh, geez, a great start. He had a great start, battling up through the field. It's a shame.
Ray was up to 7th place.
That might just bring out our first caution here. I think it will.
Ray started back in the 8th row, trying to coast it around to pit road in the Richard Childress Racing number 31. For 8th place, Scott Goodyear trying to hold off Jimmy Kite.
Jimmy Kite was second fastest in yesterday's practice. We knew he'd be strong. He's been very patient, he said. He was really worried. I talked to him right before the race, really worried about coming up through this field. Didn't want to get in someone else's wreck, didn't want to get taken out by anybody, and he's starting to lay it on them.
Mike Groff looking ahead at Jimmy Kite. First time Jimmy Kite was here was October 1994 for the NASCAR race as a spectator. He won a 50-lap midget race at Salem, Indiana last Saturday night. Quite a contrast.
That for sure is. He's been doing a great job at his first race in Colorado, and to be coming here and never run 200 miles an hour before, he's doing a great job.
We should be looking for pit stops in, what, about 10 laps?
Yeah, close to about 10 laps. Maybe the early cars coming in a little sooner than that.
Brian Hammonds, what's the story with Greg Ray?
It's an electrical problem for Greg Ray. The crew already has the black box in their hand. When they finally get him pushed to his pits, they'll replace it, hopefully get him back out, but he's certainly out of contention after a great run to the front.
Greg Ray started 17th and came to 7th. And up front, Tony Stewart has had things all his own way.
Well, look, his buddy was really starting to catch him, starting to pull up on him. Then, unfortunately, Tony cleared the traffic, and Buddy has now caught the traffic, about 5 cars. So, Tony's pulled it back out again.
Tony Stewart with a 5-second lead over Buddy Lazier, Billy Boat, Davey Hamilton, and Mark Dismore. Coming up next, the CBS Sports Show rolls on with the Bud Light Pro Beach Volleyball Tour from St. Louis. That's next on CBS Sports. At Charlotte, Tony Stewart continues to lead Buddy Lazier and Billy Boat, but pit stops have begun. Mark Dismore, 5th place car, in 1 lap ago. Giafoni is in. Kite is in. Sam Schmidt making his stop. All of these green flag stops, and about as we expected in the 40 to 45 lap range.
Right, you see a few guys drag out a little farther than that. I know Davey Hamilton was hoping to try to make it to lap 45. As quick as Buddy is, I'll be surprised if he can go, Buddy and Tony for that matter, can go farther than anybody else.
Stewart rolls on. He leads by nearly 8 seconds.
Buddy Lazier's in the pits. This should be interesting to see how much time he loses. Tony Stewart.
There's Stewart, your leader. Continues to stay on the racetrack. Here's your 2nd place car on pit road. Brian Hammonds is there.
Buddy Lazier hits his mark. The crew goes to work. Crew chief Dennis LaCava. Right rear, Gary Miller. On the left rear, Mike Culliver. On the left front, Don Butler, the fueler, Dave Morgan, the vent, Greg Garrett. They say they're not going to make any changes to this car. Fuel and tires only. Buddy Lazier very happy with the way the car is handling. And away he goes. Good stop for Buddy Lazier.
That was a good stop. Looked like maybe they put a little front wing in that. They must have decided last minute to try to do that.
You're riding with Kenny Breck onto pit road.
Billy Boat is also in the pits. Busy time right now.
That reset fuel sign on the signboard for Kenny Breck.
It's a digital counter, basically. You can see the 33 on his steering wheel means when he gets to that point, in case he lost his computer telemetry, he would have to pit. It's a precautionary note.
Also, we saw them put front wing in on Kenny Breck's car.
Right.
And here's your leader, Tony Stewart. At lap 46, the leader is on pit road. Davey Hamilton also making his stop.
An 80-mile-an-hour pit speed limit. Most of these cars have a controller that won't let you go over that as long as you press the button. Keep you under the speed limit.
Cruise control?
Just about.
Fuel and 4 tires for leader Tony Stewart. Some teams will make 5 pit stops, others only 4. And they added about a turn of front wing on both sides on Stewart.
Interesting. Everyone must be dealing with a little bit of a push situation right now. They're trying to add a little bit of front wing, correct that, hopefully not upset the balance of the car too much.
Here's Davey Hamilton coming off pit road after his stop at lap 46. They have to go all the way around the apron of turns 1 and 2 and then blend into traffic on the backstretch. Scott Goodyear in the pit lane. drink for Scott. 4 tires going on. In Scott Goodyear's case, Firestone tires, and a little wing out of the left front.
Yeah, it looks like they took a little out. Maybe it was just a little too positive for Scott in the car right now. Want to make sure that rear of the car is a little bit more underneath him. Running well, though. Scott's come a long way from the back toward the middle to back of this field.
Salazar completing his stop. And here you see Goodyear coming around the warm-up lane, and he'll blend in with traffic down the back straightaway after the exit of turn 2. Eddie Cheever completes his stop. Cheever at lap 48. Stefan Gregoire finishing his pit work.
Boy, it looks like Tony really had a good pit stop. He was able to have about a half a lap lead right now on Buddy Lazier.
Looking back from Tony Stewart. Stewart in a good bit of traffic. There was Salazar and Gregoire.
Tony's car really seems to be working well. You don't hear much of a pitch in the motor change. You don't see much. He's able to put the car almost wherever he wants, go right around the outside of traffic. It's no wonder he's leading this race.
"50 laps, caution-free" here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Tony Stewart surrendered the lead only during the pit stop sequence.
He's trying to put a lap right now on Jim Guthrie. Shouldn't be too much of a problem for Tony to go around the outside here. His car seems to really like the outside. He can really work that groove, and that helps him just get through traffic so much easier than some of the other guys.
You know who he is not running away from, though, is Giafoni. Giafoni is 1 lap down, trying to get back on the lead lap, and the gap between those 2 cars has been very constant. Now, on the pit stop sequence, Mark Dismore has moved up to 2nd place, and there that 2nd yellow car is Giafoni, and Stewart is not running off and leaving him.
That's interesting. Alfonso's had some great races here. They must have made a few changes in his car, and he's really running quite well. He needs to try to get that lap back from Tony. Be interested to see if he can do that.
Last lap for Stewart, 205 miles per hour, 204.6 was Giafoni. Here's their 2nd place battle. Mark Dismore, the first of the leaders to pit, and Buddy Lazier, that purple and yellow car, chasing Dismore. Let's see if traffic tells this story. Yes. Mike Groff, and there goes Lazier.
Boy, 3 wide. Oh. Buddy's aggressive. He certainly isn't afraid to keep the foot down and go to the outside if he needs to. Looks like Arie Luyendyk's in pit lane with a problem. He seemed like he slowed down a little bit. Maybe it's just one of the latest pit stops.
So Luyendyk on pit road as Dismore and Lazier battle for 2nd place. CBS Sports coverage of the Visionaire 500 will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Get in the fast lane with CBS Sports Line for a special cover story on Arie Luyendyk and full bios on every racer, plus scores, highlights, breaking news, and a full wrap-up at cbs.sportsline.com. Tony Stewart continues to lead over Buddy Lazier and Mark Dismore. Roberto Guerrero and Jimmy Kite, the top 5. Scott Goodyear and Billy Boat on the lead lap.
Stewart's caught up to the back of Eddie Cheever right there in the red, white, and blue car, and Billy Boat in the white and blue car, you see, left your screen. And sort of looks like it's made those guys work a little harder. They've tried to hoof it up so they don't get a lap down here. You can just see, though, you don't hear much of a pitch change in Tony's motor. He seems to be one of probably the only guys that can run around here almost flat out every lap.
And it's reflected in his lead, which now stands at 11 seconds over Buddy Lazier.
Tony likes to lead. He's very aggressive. He wants to lead every practice, all the time, every race. That's where he's most comfortable, and I think as long as he can just take care of his equipment, he's in good position.
Now, Arie Luyendyk made a stop on pit road just as we went to break, and he is slowing once again, coming down to the apron in turn number 3.
Interesting. I don't know quite why he's pitting once again, if he has a problem or what.
Indication is that he nearly lost it last time round in turn 4. So The Indy 500 champion having a tough go of it here in Charlotte. Let's go to Brian Hammonds.
Arie Luyendyk in the pits. His problem is a throttle linkage problem. The crew goes to work toward the rear of the car. The reason he drove through the pits, he couldn't get the throttle to release. They said go around, blip it, try to get it to release, come back, and we'll fix it. The car has been shut off. It's a serious problem for Arie Luyendyk. Now, as far as Tony Stewart is concerned at the front of the field, after he made his pit stop, they made a little wing adjustment on the front of the car, put a little more wing into it, and under full loads of a full fuel tank, he had a pretty good push. But now that the fuel is burning off, he's very happy with the car.
Thanks, Brian. Mechanics looking underneath the front and rear of Arie Luyendyk, and you saw him signaling the mechanic by that bending of his wrist with his hand flat that the car was really loose. Here is Kite, and what a drive he has had from 13th position up to 5th. Talk about a guy who suddenly has found a need for speed.
Yeah, he's doing a really great job. I guess that indication of running so strong in the last practice session really paid off here. He felt good. It's a good job he's done. He's been patient. You know, he hasn't rushed getting through traffic, and look where he is. He's in 5th. Still a long ways to go in the race. More than enough time to, as long as he stays on the lead lap, I think he'll be in some really good shape.
Laughing, he said Charlotte's like a big Winchester, a big Salem, this home track in Indiana. You're looking back from Roberto Guerrero, who is 4th. Jimmy Kite in 5th. That's the next car back.
Good battle shaping up right here.
There they are. Front straightaway. Across the stripe and back toward turn 1. There's a lapper ahead, Gregoire. Kite had a look on the bottom and thought better of it as they entered turn 1. Battle for second place as well. Continues to enjoy a lead of 15 seconds.
You see, he hardly has to turn the wheel much. It seems to be the car's really handling flawlessly right now for him. Look through here, you can hear the pitch to 3 and 4. He really keeps a lot of throttle going on. Doesn't have to turn the wheel too hard. The car seems to be working well for him.
Yeah, but that's no Sunday drive.
Well, you know, Tony seems like he's really gotten in the groove, and being able to run the car almost flat out the whole way around, it becomes quite relaxing. He gets settled in there, and he's doing seems like he's just being able to drive with ease at this point in time.
Folks, don't try this at home. This is at 200 miles per hour as he laps past Mike Groff. Tony Stewart has led all but one lap. Scott Goodyear led a lap when Stewart was on pit road.
Wow, right around the outside there. Good move. And that's wow, that was a strong move right there. He just being able to, getting through traffic, I think, is one of just Tony's strengths. It really is. He uses his aggression, and he's really doesn't ever seem to get in any trouble.
You know, and it doesn't hurt that that's the easiest car to find in your mirror of all the cars here. That bright fluorescent paint job. Nobody's going to say, I didn't see him coming. Caution is out. First one of the day. Debris in turn number 2 brings out this first caution flag. It comes at lap 71.
Jimmy Kite has slowed down a little bit coming down the front straightaway. I'm not sure. And yes, he's ducking into the pit lane. Be interesting to see if that has something to do with him.
Tony Stewart leads the field around to caution as the IRL makes its first appearance under the lights at Charlotte Motor Speedway. After 74 laps, Tony Stewart has led all but one. Scott Goodyear led a lap. That accounts for the 2 lead changes. Average speed is just a tick off 200 miles per hour due to the 1 caution. And only 2 cars are off the track. In the garage area, Jack Miller and Greg Ray, both with mechanical problems. Lengthy pit stop for Arie Luyendyk and for Vincenzo Sospiri during this caution period. Scott, just about everybody came onto pit road, even though they had just been in about 25 laps prior.
I guess it was just enough where people were able to take advantage of this, put some new tires in the car, maybe make a subtle change. What's interesting, a couple guys snuck in the pits on the first lap, mainly Jimmy Kite, and you might see him move up. The next lap, Tony Stewart pitted, so I think Tony lost a couple track positions for doing so.
Tony is deep in the field. 6 cars on the lead lap as we go back to green. And Stewart is way in the back of the pack. Here he is, top of your screen, as they come through toward turn 1. We're back to green.
Buddy Lazier's the leader right now.
You'll see a long way back.
There's Tony Stewart. Got some work cut out for him. Has to go catch those guys. He's running 5th spot right now.
In the IRL, the cars on the lead lap do not move up to the front of the pack on restarts.
Wow.
So Stewart is way back there. Here he is. There's that yellow car.
He's chasing Jimmy Kite right now.
And they are both on the lead lap. Buddy Lazier is your new leader. Billy Boat in second.
Wow,
Mark Dismore third.
Woo, there's some traffic. There they're moving. There's Jimmy Kite right to your outside of the right screen. You see there? Wow. Scott Goodyear slams the door on him a little bit. Whoa, boy, Stewart really slid up the bankment there. Here comes Jimmy Kite back on him. Good battle.
Jimmy Kite is having a blast for a fellow who never ran a super speedway before tonight. He must have an ear-to-ear grin.
He's doing well. He really is. To be able to run with Tony, he must feel good about his car and his chances right now.
There's your leader, Lazier. Last time by, 0.7 of a second ahead of Billy Boat.
This was a good break for Buddy. It really was. His car was handling pretty well. It seemed like traffic was catching up with him. He just couldn't catch Tony. But now that he's smooth sailing out in front, you're going to, I think, see him pull away a little bit while Tony's still battling.
Race leader there is Buddy Lazier. He'll move back and pick up Billy Boat.
About a little over a second behind him right now, battling to get by Jim Guthrie.
While Lazier has to deal with Stéphane Gregoire.
Boy, so you can just see how that hurt. But Billy Boat tried to go underneath Jim Guthrie. He shut the door on him, and probably Billy just lost another second, I imagine, to Buddy Lazier.
Now Boat is the blue and white car. He's got to think about Dismore because the second 2 cars in that pack are racing for second and third.
Momentum so critical around here, trying to keep the car wound up, trying to keep the speed, not letting the lap car slow you down.
There's Dismore trying to close up on Billy Boat.
3 of those guys are catching up to Stéphane Gregoire. This is going to be a heck of a battle right here. Billy goes to the outside. Is he able to pull it off? Yes, he is.
Boy, Gregoire is a wide car, though, and he's taken up a lot of room.
Ooh, and I think Billy got underneath him. Now we'll be able to see just how fast Billy is. See if he can reel in Buddy Lazier, who's opened up almost a 3-second lead. Just getting stuck in this traffic for a couple laps can really cost you, as you can see that right now.
There's Davey Hamilton, right side of your screen. The red and white car on the bottom, also moving up. Dismore clears Gregoire, but Billy Boat's taken off. Again, due to the traffic. Giafoni moving in, and he's having a good run. Got lapped early on. He and Hamilton are 1 lap down, so they're battling for position. That's Giafoni, the multicolored car, underneath the French Racing Blue machine of Gregoire. Let's get an update from Mike King.
The word from the Team Menard pit is that Tony Stewart got a bad set of tires last time during that last stop. To add to those problems, this team has absolutely no pit communication at all with their driver. So Tony Stewart right now is on a bad set of tires. He's complaining of a vibration, and he has no way really to communicate with the team if it's getting worse or better. So we may see him very soon.
Stewart moving around Jim Guthrie, and he's got company. That's Jimmy Kite right with him.
Kite right on him. And boy, look at Jimmy just on the bottom of the racetrack. Tony's car, I think it's gone away a little bit. You can see his car just sliding up almost every lap in turn 4 there, and Kite gets underneath them. Kite's strong right now. Wow, but look, Tony keeps the hammer down on the outside, trying to make it happen.
I love it.
Wow, good racing. And look, and pulled it off. Boy, the momentum of just being on the outside, not binding the car up down on the inside, put Tony back out in front of Jimmy Kite.
Stewart's last lap, 198.1 miles per hour, so his pace has slowed a bit from what it was early in this race. Fastest lap of the race, 211 miles an hour by Tony Stewart.
You can just hear, doesn't hear like Tony's able to carry quite the same amount of throttle as he was earlier. Going into these corners from the in-car, you can just hear him lifting a little bit.
The Kite staying right with Stewart. They are 4th and 5th. Kite in blue, Stewart in yellow and red.
Kite's able to hang on to him, I tell you. I think if Jimmy can just keep this pace going, he's going to be forced to be reckoned with toward the end of the race here.
Everyone in the pits at lap 74 and 75. That will likely make this a 5 pit stop race. We'll see how that plays out according to the caution flags. Kite is ready to make another run here. He's closed right up to about 2 car lengths.
He really is. If he can just get a little bit closer and be able to use that draft, it seems like he just gets close enough where the turbulence off the back of Tony's car probably disrupts him, probably makes him have to lift out of the gas a little bit so that the front won't want to wander up the bankment.
Stewart said the other day, if we're going to go through turns 3 and 4 side by side, he said, I want to be on the inside.
Yeah, you don't want it with the bumps out there. It's tough to get on the outside. Yep, and look, Jimmy trying to show a little bit to the inside there, but Tony keeps it down. I think there's a lot of momentum. Tony seems to be able to carry that momentum through turns 1 and 2 and keep the speed up. It seems it's hard for guys to beat him out of turn 2.
Arie Luyendyk done for the day. Those handling problems magnified themselves, and he's out of the race. 89 laps complete here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Buddy Lazier, the new leader. Billy Boat, Mark Dismore. Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Leader Buddy Lazier is on pit road. Brian Hammonds is there.
It's just a routine stop, gentlemen. Full load of fuel, 4 tires for Buddy Lazier. No problems whatsoever. The work is done, and away he goes.
Apparently Lazier did not stop on the lap 74 caution, so this would be a scheduled stop. On his first tank of fuel, he went 44 laps. 47 laps later, he comes in for this stop, which will drop him from the lead. And Billy Boat, A.J. Foyt's driver, who received the checkered flag at Texas, but Arie Luyendyk ended up with the win after a scoring recheck. Billy Boat is in the lead. There is Boat. He and Davey Hamilton, teammates for A.J. Foyt. That is Scott Sharp's ride. Sharp recovering from a recent incident. It's tough to watch your own car go around.
That sort of makes you want to be in there, but Billy's doing a good job today. He really is. Obviously, they've done some good pit strategy. Sort of surprised Buddy didn't come in when everybody else did. You know, I think it's cost him almost a lap now. And he is. I think he's down a lap. So I'm surprised they used that decision. Obviously, they gained some track position, but then to have to pit under green again certainly cost them.
I think what will happen, though, with Buddy Lazier is for Buddy, this may still be just a 4-stop race. And depending on where the caution flags fall, he may end up making up that lap by running 1 fewer pit stop.
That's true. If they could stay on schedule, it might play out for him. Yellow flag.
Is that Mark Dismore very slow down on the track apron? It's the 2nd place car. Dismore is rolling to a stop.
Boy, what a shame for Mark. He was having a great day. All the way up to 2nd. The reports are there's some oil down in turn 1.
And there's smoke from Dismore's car.
Obviously that work must have come from. Started 10th, got all the way up to 2nd. Boy, it's a real shame for him.
Brian Hammonds?
It's a blown motor for Mark Dismore. He is done for the day, and it's an ironic thing. He was running so well here today in his Dallara chassis. This is the swan song for that chassis, because the next time we see Mark Dismore, he'll be in the new Riley Scott chassis in New Hampshire.
And that's a neat piece. We got a good look at it yesterday. Has a unique Riley rocker arm front suspension to make easier adjustments. We'll see it in New Hampshire. We'll be back to Charlotte Motor Speedway after this. We're halfway at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 5 leaders, 5 lead changes. Average speed dropped by 2 caution flags for 9 laps to 175 miles per hour. 5 cars off the track. Early, Jack Miller and Greg Ray. Arie Luyendyk, handling problem, Vincenzo Sospiri, and an engine for Dismore, taking him out of the top 5. Roberto Guerrero did not make a pit stop on this caution. He's the leader. Billy Boat, Jimmy Kite did. Tony Stewart, Kenny Breck is on the tail end of the lead lap, where you'll also find Buddy Lazier. So we're getting set to go back to green. Guerrero is pretty much by himself. The battle will be for second place. Green flag. That's Guerrero in yellow up on the outside, working around traffic and trying to make sure those cars stay 1 lap down.
Roberto's handling pretty well right now. I think he'll try to run as hard as he can, try to get away from the Billy Boat and Tony Stewart, try to open up a little bit of a lead right now.
Billy Boat running in second. Jimmy Kite keeping close tabs on him as they go back to green on this restart. Guerrero gets away from the field. And Billy Boat's at the tail end of that pack. To work around Jim Guthrie, there's Lazier, who is a lap down now to Guerrero, and Tony Stewart.
Tony Stewart seems like he's slowing down a bit. I don't know what that is. Down on the bottom of the racetrack in turn 1 and 2.
That's trouble.
Yeah, I think he might have a problem here.
Tony Stewart started on pole, led almost the entire first quarter distance, and he will come pit side this time.
Boy, that's
fight for second place. Billy Boat is in a knot of cars. Davey Hamilton just ahead, and Stewart will come to pit lane. The frustrations for Stewart continue. Running at the front of the pack in Texas, 2 laps to go, blows the engine. He's led every race this year. Only 1 victory, Colorado.
This is going to really hurt his points race. That's for sure. Motor sounds a little notchy. We can see what they say.
Vibration. Was that the motion he was making with his hands?
Yeah, something to do with the vibration in the front. Maybe he thought he had a tire going down.
Mike King?
Well, Tony had a bad set of tires, as we told you earlier. He came in, they did replace those tires. He was complaining of a vibration. They did take an opportunity, of course, to top him off on fuel, but it does appear that there was no flat, but just a bad set of tires that time. So Tony Stewart is back out.
So the rabbit of the first part of this race becomes the hunter, and Stewart will have to work hard to get back up on the lead lap.
He sure will now that he's gone a lap down. Roberto's still trying to pull out. He's at almost a 6-second lead. He's really working well right now. It's good to see for those guys.
Guerrero flashes across the stripe. Right behind him, you'll find the 91 of Buddy Lazier, and Lazier is trying to get back on the lead lap as he just comes into frame there right behind your race leader. Here's Lazier, and he's coming hard.
Oh, he is. This might be one of Buddy's only chances. He's got Billy Boat and Jimmy Kite, some of the guys who are more on his pit sequence behind him. He can keep running, get ahead of Roberto, get back on the lead lap. He might become a real factor once again in this race.
Mike Groff makes an unscheduled pit stop as Lazier runs right in the tire tracks of race leader, the yellow number 21 of Roberto Guerrero. Second place battle shapes up here. Billy Boat, the number 1, right in the middle of your screen.
Billy Boat chasing his teammate right now. Davey Hamilton is lapped down. I think Davey's just trying to run as hard as he can, also try to get back on that lead lap. Billy's trying to, of course, hold off Jimmy Kite.
The car right behind these two. There's Jimmy Kite, top of your screen, 21 years old. Won the Silver Crown race at the Copper Classic in Phoenix back in January. Say he looks about 16. But he drives like a veteran. First time on the high banks of a super speedway, and Jimmy Kite on the right side of your screen trying to work past Hamilton. He is your 3rd place car.
Saw Davey pull down to the inside of the racetrack coming out of 2. I think that was a nice teammate move to let Billy have some free traffic to run.
Yeah, and then he moved right back up. That was a nice teammate move too. Moved right back up in front of Kite, but now Jimmy Kite has gone past Hamilton.
Kite's aggressive. He really is. His car seems to be working well, and he's standing on the gas. Be interested to see if he can pull Billy Boat in.
73,000 fans here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Not quite a Texas-sized crowd, but a very strong indication that the fans down here in NASCAR country were excited by what they saw from Texas on TV and wanted to see it in person. And these cars under the lights at Charlotte just look blindingly fast on this high bank 1.5 miles. There's the serial score on Jimmy Kite. He started 13th and has climbed his way to 3rd. There's Billy Boat. So Boat and Kite are separated by about 1.3 seconds.
Boy, Buddy Lazier right there.
Right back of Guerrero. Let's go to the leader's pit, Mike King.
John Barnes is the team manager for Pagan Racing. John, we were told that there may have been some contact between Roberto and another car out there. Did he say anything?
No, everything's fine with Pinzon car. Roberto's doing a great job. We're just chugging along here, logging some laps.
When do you expect to make your last, what might be your last stop of this race?
Well, we'll have to make another one, about 135 laps or so, and 40, and then we'll have another splash right at the end.
So Roberto Guerrero very happy right now. These are the first laps that he has led since the 1996 Indianapolis 500.
Mike, when I spoke to him the other day, he had a big smile on his face, and he says, now with this new engine program, now I feel like we're a contender, and I feel like we can win. As we mentioned earlier, Infinity has throttled back their program to work first on reliability, which their technician told me today they believe that they have licked that, and they have closed about half of the power gap to the old Aurora engine, and feel by the end of the season they'll be back aggressively pursuing teams and be a factor to win in this series once again. Here's Lazier. He's right there on Guerrero.
Wow, Roberto really got held up by that car of Sam Schmidt, and there goes Buddy Lazier. Got his lap back. That's going to be interesting. If he can keep going, it's going to be a real factor in this race. These two cars are flying, though, Mike. They really are. They're pulling away from the second and third place car right now.
Last lap for Guerrero, 207 miles per hour. As he looks forward at Buddy Lazier, who is now back on the lead lap with Guerrero, Billy Boat, Jimmy Kite in third, and now Lazier. Kenny Breck is one lap down in fifth. Davey Hamilton, Afonso Giafoni, Scott Goodyear, Eddie Cheever, and Tony Stewart are your top 10. CBS Sports coverage of the Visionaire 500 will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Welcome back to Charlotte. Mike Joy with Scott Sharp, Brian Hammonds, and Mike King. You're riding with the leader, Roberto Guerrero, over Billy Boat, Jimmy Kite, and Buddy Lazier. While we were away, the 99 of Sam Schmidt went up in smoke out of the race. Kenny Breck unlapped himself from Guerrero, who is now headed for pit road, but then Breck came pit side. So here's your race leader coming in for a scheduled stop. Remember, Guerrero assumed the lead because he did not stop on the last caution flag.
This should put Billy Boat back in the lead, who's closely followed by Jimmy Kite.
And Guerrero in for service. Mike King's in his pit. Mike.
80-mile-an-hour pit speed limit. You'll remember as Roberto Guerrero pulls it into the pit stall. Doug Barnes and Kevin Conley, Barry Walker, and Greg Eagle over the wall, changing the tires on the Pennzoil machine. Bobby Grubbs and Mike Garner, as they get ready to drop it on the jack. This could be the final pit stop for Roberto Guerrero. 16.08 seconds. Let's take you back here if we can real quick and show you about what kind of racing we've got going on. You see all the rubber around the wheel here. They took this time, pulled this off last pit stop, but you can see there's some pretty heavy duty rubbing going on out here at the Visionaire 500.
Pretty heavy contact. Pretty smoky burnout Roberto did too coming out.
He really stood on it.
Billy Boat is the new leader.
And Jimmy Kite's right there behind him. Boy, able to run. I think Jimmy's got just as good a car right now. He's been trailing Billy for a number of laps. This is going to be a big battle, I think.
Jimmy may have one advantage. He doesn't know how tough super speedway racing's supposed to be. He's never done it. Brian Hammonds can update the second place car.
Well, as if you couldn't tell, Jimmy Kite is awfully happy with his race car. He was complaining of a small push, but during his last pit stop, they made an air pressure adjustment, and he is flat out flying now and very happy with the car.
First to second, there's the gap.
Both these drivers very aggressive, very much stand on the gas. At this point in the race, you have to think Billy's happy. You know, there's a little over halfway now, almost 2/3 way. It's important now. Track position is very important. I don't think Billy will give up the lead here without a big fight.
Billy Boat, 31 years old, has a bachelor's in finance from Arizona State. He's building his own cars at the age of 16. Builds high-performance exhaust systems when he's not behind the wheel of a race car. Started racing motorcycles at age 5 on the dirt tracks.
Getting the brakes through traffic is going to be most important here. That's going to really see the lead either shrink or grow, depending on who can get through there the best.
Listening to Scott Sharp, who's the regular driver of that #1 car that's in the lead and the co-champion of this series 1 year ago. We're going to see you back at Las Vegas, perhaps?
Maybe at Las Vegas, yeah. Taking a little bit of a break right now and making sure everything heals up. But Billy's doing a good job. AJ obviously set the car up well. They ran super well at Texas, and expected the nature of the two tracks being similar, they would run well here.
Billy Boat, another example of the IRL ladder program. Here's a fellow who's an expert in midgets. He was the Western States Midget Champion, won the Chili Bowl, won the Copper World Classic, has raced sprint cars, now gets a shot to move up into the IRL machines, and he's done well. You had a completely different path to the IRL.
Well, I sure did. Coming from closed wheel Trans Am type cars I spent most of my career in, not exactly maybe the approved way to the top of the IRL, but it's been a great opportunity for me, and it's super running for AJ.
So Billy Boat, driving for AJ Foyt, leads Jimmy Kite, Buddy Lazier, and Afonso Giaffoni here at Charlotte. Get in the fast lane with CBS Sportsline for a special cover story on Ari Leyendijk and full bios on every racer, plus scores, highlights, breaking news, and a full wrap up at cbs.sportsline.com. For the lead, Jimmy Kite underneath Billy Boat and makes it stick.
Boy, great move by Jimmy. He just worked him, picked up a little bit of his draft. Seemed like he got through 3 and 4 better and just powered down the inside of the front straightaway.
Brian Hammond.
Jimmy Kite is doing this while trying to conserve fuel. He's trying to make this a 4-stop race. They're trying to carry this next stop to lap 154. If he's leading while trying to conserve fuel, look out field.
Billy Boat slides to second, and you see that Kite is pulling away.
Boy, it really is. I'm not sure. I think Billy Boat might have slowed down a little bit here, as opposed to Jimmy Kite picking up. I think he's going about the same speed, and Billy's just a little bit of tick off right now. Jimmy's just doing a great job, though. It's only his second IRL race, first race that he's led. And if they can stretch it to 156, that would be. I think everybody else might be in a little bit of trouble here.
One of the neat facets of this series is the way it's making new stars in major American racing. Fellas like Jimmy Kite, Billy Boat, Jim Guthrie, the Phoenix winner, who's now on pit.
Oh, big crash. That's Guerrero and Davey Hamilton. Oh, boy.
Turn 2. A third car is in it.
Oh, no. That's Eliseo Salazar. Oh, boy.
Salazar took the low road to try to miss.
And they just came down right in front of him. Looks like left side of Davey's car, the orange and white car there, is pretty severely hurt.
That was the leader and the 6th place car.
They're both moving around. Seems like everything's okay.
And the left side is just ripped.
Boy, you can just see the whole suspension is gone. Looked like the front nose of Eliseo's car there. The right side wing and the little bit of the front of the nose is ripped off. They're probably going to have to try to do a quick change under this yellow.
Now Salazar was almost stopped. He had gone to the low groove, and the 24-degree banking is self-cleaning here at Charlotte, and those cars just slid right down. There's Guerrero standing, and in yellow and black he is okay. Hamilton has climbed from his car, and the safety crews will go to pick up what's left.
It's almost like what we talked about at the beginning of the show, Mike. You know, there wasn't much time for Eliseo to make a move. He had to pick the low line. Unfortunately, that's the way both those cars ended up sliding down.
There's Salazar in the pits. They'll have a new nose and wing at the ready. Mike King.
You're exactly right, Mike. They do have the new nose ready to go on. Really relatively light damage, with the exception of the fact that they have sheared off the left front wing, so the new nose comes over the wall now. They're working feverishly, of course, to detach the old wing, the old nose cone that is there. So Eliseo Salazar sits in the pits now and must wait. He is obviously okay. That really appears to be the only damage to the car.
There's that new nose ready to go with the wings already attached.
The only problem with all this is Eliseo dove in under the first lap of a yellow flag. Generally, the pits are closed. Be interesting to see. It could result in a bit of a penalty for him.
IRL officials told us in yesterday's meeting that the pits would remain closed until the field packs up behind the safety car. You see that Guerrero is trying to lap Davey Hamilton here.
He drafted up on him, pulled down to the inside. I don't think Davey felt oh boy, you can just see Roberto actually pushed up. I don't think that was Davey's fault. Davey, there's probably enough room for Roberto on the bottom, but he just slid right up and slid right into the side pod of Davey Hamilton.
And watch Hamilton's rear wheel, and that axle shaft went rolling right up Guerrero's car, up and over the top of Guerrero's helmet.
And really, Alessio has no point. I mean, all the debris up top, he had to go to the bottom. Look, he's trying to get everything slowed down. Really nowhere else he could have gone. He just got collected. What a shame.
Yeah, he couldn't run up top because that's where all those wheels and tires were. What did Guerrero see?
Well, at this point in time, Roberto knows he's not really quite there. And now to start sliding up there, yeah, oh boy. I'm surprised Roberto didn't lift out of it just a little bit earlier. When you're going that fast and you start sliding the bank with the littlest of contact, can really create some trouble.
We're under caution here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for a crash involving leader Roberto Guerrero. We'll be right back.
The Gateway Arch in St. Louis, and we're just a short distance away at historic Union Station, where we're getting ready for the Bud Light Pro Beach Volleyball League's Gateway Championship. Team Discus Athletic, led by Olympic bronze medalist Kim Oden, takes on the Big Shoe, Diane Shoemaker, and the defending league champions, Team Paul Mitchell. The final of the Gateway.
Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're under caution after 150 laps. 6 leaders, 9 lead changes. This third caution brings the total yellow to 17 laps. Off the track, Jack Miller, Greg Ray, Ari Lyondike, Suspiri, Dismore, and this latest accident took Guerrero and Hamilton from the race. Mike Joy with 96 IRL co-champ Scott Sharp, Brian Hammonds and Mike King on pit road. Jimmy Kite leads Billy Boat and Buddy Lazier. And the leader will come pit side. Brian Hammonds will be in Billy Boat's pit.
Jimmy Kite will put it on the mark. They waited to the very end of this yellow because they're going to try to make it on this being their final stop. I asked Brad McCandless, the crew chief, they were trying to carry to 154. It's lap 151. I said, will this be your final stop? He said, I don't know. We may have to come back for a splash and go. They're going to make sure they get every bit of fuel in this 35-gallon tank. And away Jimmy Kite goes. Will it be the last time we see him here on pit road? We'll find out.
May depend on the number of caution laps we have to see if he can go 54 laps. Here's why we're under caution. The yellow car is Guerrero, the white car, Davey Hamilton.
Well, you can see just there, oh, they just locked it. If they were able to touch side by side, they probably would have been all right, but with Roberto's wheel just ahead of Davey's, enough of force turned them right around. What a shame for both those guys.
Well, let's watch and listen from Roberto Guerrero's onboard camera. And here in real time at 200 miles an hour, two cars get together, and it's a short, hard trip to the concrete.
Boy, I tell you, this is going to have some serious points race implications for Davey Hamilton. Being the leader by only 3 over Tony Stewart, it's going to change the look of things.
So your new leader is Billy Boat, now that Jimmy Kite has made a pit stop to top off tanks. Buddy Lazier moves up to second. And Scott Goodyear and Afonso Giafoni are posted on the lead lap as we'll get set to go back to green.
This is going to be really interesting. Buddy has gotten some breaks, been able to get back on the lead lap, now back up into second place, and he's right behind Billy Boat. I think he might be quicker than Billy Boat. It's going to be interesting to see. Both of these guys have to stop one more time.
Now 2 of the cars posted on the lead lap, Scott Goodyear and Afonso Giafoni, are behind the Aurora safety car, but in front of the race leader. And the pace car will stay out 1 more lap. So both Goodyear and Giafoni will be hoping for a caution to be able to stay up on the lead lap. Later today, the PGA Tour on CBS Sports continues with live final round coverage of the Canon Greater Hartford Open, the TPC of River Highlands, Cromwell, Connecticut. You'll see that live at 4 o'clock Eastern here on CBS Sports. Scott Goodyear gives up that position on the tail end of the lead lap to get 4 tires and fuel. Brian Hammond.
It's a 15th stop for Scott Goodyear. A lot of these guys wait till the very end of this yellow flag because they're hoping that this will be their last stop. That's the strategy.
Alfonso Giafoni did the same thing, stopping here at lap 152.
This just might fall into Scott Goodyear's hands. If he's able to, if the race keeps going, he's able to get good fuel mileage, he might be able to stretch this to the end of the race and not have to pit again.
Tony Stewart did not stop. He is also one lap down now, along with Giafoni, Kenny Brack, and Scott Goodyear. Eddie Cheever is 2 laps down. Robbie Groff 3 laps back. Marco Greco 4 laps down. That's your top 10. Billy Boat, who ran under the lights on the superspeedway at Texas for A.J. Foyt, led much of the race, was waved to victory lane, but denied the victory on appeal from Ari Lyondike. Green flag.
Wow, and Billy Boat got squeezed by a lap car up into the turn 4 wall just slightly. I don't think it's enough to do much damage. But boy, there goes Buddy Lazier. We got a battle here.
He did take a lot of speed off Boat as they came down for green.
Buddy Lazier trying to get underneath Billy Boat. Billy's able to hold him off right now. But here comes Buddy. There he is, right on the bottom.
Lazier in purple and yellow, Billy Boat in blue and white. This is for the lead. And again, in the IRL, they do not put the lead cars at the front of the pack on restarts. Where you come out of the pits is where you restart. So they're mid-pack and have a lot of traffic to deal with.
Wow, a lot of slicing going on right here. Buddy looks like he's able to run right up behind Billy without much interference.
Kenny Brack down to the inside there. And you're looking back from Tony Stewart at Billy Boat. Stewart is trying to keep from going 2 laps down. Boat to the outside, with Lazier in tow in second place.
Boy, Buddy is pretty strong right now. He's really able to put the car almost wherever he wants. He's going to try to rope Billy in right now, I think, and take command of this race.
They move past Jim Guthrie, and you see a little separation has opened up on the front 2 cars because of working in traffic. Jimmy Kite, the 3rd place car. Those 3 on the lead lap. Stewart now goes 2 laps down after leading all the first quarter of this race.
Stewart seems to have lost a little bit of his momentum. A number of cars passing him right now. Jimmy Kite, meanwhile, he's on the move. He came from all the way from the back, fresh tires. He's charging right now. The battle resumes. Buddy just looks stronger. I think he has a faster car right now.
Wouldn't it be poetic justice for Billy Boat to win this race? He went to victory lane at Texas, had the trophy taken away, and here we are again under the lights on a 1.5-mile quad oval, this time in Charlotte, North Carolina. But for Buddy Lazier, it's been a long time. It's been since that 96 Indy 500 that he's been to an IRL victory lane as the winner.
They've really had an up and down year. They've just recently been able to get their program together, running better. It's good to see Buddy up in contention for the lead.
Into turn 3, bathed in 100,000 candle power of light.
The drivers get such a thrill. It's really inspirational running out there under the lights. It really makes your heartbeat's already running, but out there under the lights, it seems like it runs even a little harder.
It seems, too, that at least for the fan, it's easier to focus on the race surface as A.J. Foyt looks on without the distractions of what's going on off in the distance. The speedway just ringed in light. Let's go to the Billy Boat pit. Mike King.
Well, the bottom line is here is we've got our big chess game going on. Billy Boat has got to make another stop. That is a surety. We don't know if we'll see him in the next 10 or 20 laps. They are being very tight-lipped here in the A.J. Foyt pit area. Now, at the other end of the pit lane is young Jimmy Kite. They say they are going to try to make it, and if not, they may require just a splash and go. If we remain under green, we're going to have an interesting shootout here between the top 3 cars. Let's go to Brian Hammond.
As far as Buddy Lazier is concerned, they have to make one more fuel stop. If Jimmy Kite makes it without stopping again, he would be in the driver's seat. Lazier has to stop again.
Interesting matchup. Billy Boat has led more laps tonight than he's led in the entire IRL season.
Also, Scott Goodyear's back there. He made that lap. Oh, we have a crash on the front straightaway. Who was that? That's Jimmy Kite on the front straightaway. Looks like he hit the wall pretty hard coming off turn 4.
Jimmy Kite grinds it to a halt, and the 21-year-old's first super speedway race, in which he led quite a number of laps, has ended here on the front straightaway wall. Kite is okay talking to his crew, waiting until they get the whole field down to caution speed before climbing out.
Shame for him. He was having a great day. Charged up from 13th spot on qualifying. Really doing well.
And he was closing on the Billy Boat Buddy Lazier battle for first and second. Kite wanted the lead back, and he brings out instead the 4th caution of the day.
He might not have had to stop again, so he might have been in the real driver's seat here.
Well, this caution flag will certainly play into the pit strategy of those who hope to not make another stop.
It'll be interesting. If Scott Goodyear thinks he doesn't have to pit again, he'll stay on the track and probably assume the lead. I expect Billy Boat to pit under this caution, maybe even Buddy Lazier, and that'll be all. Those will be the final stops they have to make.
There are your 2 leaders, running at about 75 miles per hour, behind one of the all-time Indy greats, Johnny Rutherford, wheeling the pace car for this series. And the crowd gave Kite a nice round of applause as he climbed out, took off that aerodynamic Simpson helmet and the balaclava. Here's what happened.
He's running right through there. Looks like wow, the car just pushed right up there. You can see there was a little bit of vibration movement from the bumps, and the car just pushed right up into the wall, hitting pretty hardly. Wow, look at that. Good to see that he's okay from that.
Let's have a look at a different angle and see if something broke on the car or if it just pushed up to the wall. Now he's the 2nd car in line.
It just from right back there, there's a little bit of vibration and just started pushing. I wouldn't be surprised if something didn't break. Maybe that's what you're seeing, and the car just right to the outside. Ooh, boy, lucky to keep that straight, not spin around.
And look at that, folks. He's still driving it. He's trying to keep it up toward that wall instead of coming back out into traffic. He's still steering it as the car grinds itself right down to the tub on the right side.
Quite a lot of debris, I think, down the front straightaway here.
Brian Hammonds?
Well, it's a very dejected Jimmy Kite crew down here, as you might imagine. They said they were out just cruising, trying to conserve fuel, make it to the end without stopping again. They cut a tire, and that's what put Jimmy Kite into the wall and ended his night.
What a great race the 21-year-old was having. The ride of his life.
Well, it's so tough when you cut a tire. You know, as a driver and you're in the cockpit, there's really nothing you can do. It just, the car can just take off. No matter if you hit the brakes, turn the wheel, nothing can happen.
Strategy changes because here comes Billy Boat and Buddy Lazier leading quite a pack onto pit road. Mike King?
Well, we are waiting now for Billy Boat. He is in the very first pit stall here on the south end of the pit lane. He has pulled it in on the marks, and the team goes to work. Greg Baranowski and Case Lewenberg on the right side, Dave Noble and Bill Spencer on the left side, changing the Goodyear Eagles. Rob Grossman and Steve Sharp is the man fueling this car. However, they did not put any fuel in the car. Well, actually, they did not put a lot of fuel in the car. It was only about half a stop, half a tank on that stop. So they have all they need in 13.71 seconds. Billy Boat back on the track. A good stop here for the AJ Foyt team.
Interestingly, Buddy Lazier chose to not take any new tires. He's obviously very happy with the way his car's handling and was able to assume the lead in that process.
So Lazier will take track position and will become the new leader over Billy Boat as we get set for the restart here in Charlotte. Although they don't like to talk about it, the CIA abandoned many men after parachuting them into North Vietnam. The men who made their way back tell their story tonight on 60 Minutes. Then it's Touched by an Angel, followed by the CBS miniseries In the Best of Families, Marriage, Pride, and Madness. Buddy Lazier leads Billy Boat and Scott Goodyear, Alfonso Giafoni, and Eddie Cheever. It's a battle of chassis, and it's a battle of tires.
Very interesting. Billy Boat took fresh new Goodyear tires, while Buddy Lazier decided to stay with his slightly used Firestone tires. We're going to see a real tire battle here. Generally, the Firestones are quicker off the bat, and the Goodyears are better longer in.
Back under green at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Buddy Lazier, Billy Boat contesting the lead.
from a driver standpoint, Buddy's extremely aggressive in traffic. You can just see him looking, making the moves. And this might be a telltale sign for this race. You're going to have to get to the front of the field right now. Getting through this traffic, you can either open up or shrink a lead in a real hurry.
Billy Boat has been a little more tentative in the traffic. And Lazier enjoys an 0.8 of a second lead. Now on the tail end of the lead lap were Scott Goodyear and Alfonso Giafoni when the green waved. Your race leader, Lazier, has put Giafoni 1 lap down once again. And Lazier's closing in big time on Scott Goodyear right now. Put him back to being a lap down. Here he comes right now off the front straightaway. Goodyear, bottom of your screen. Right there. Goodyear did not go the outside, I imagine. Scott did not pit on this caution flag. He was just in at lap 152 about 20 laps ago. So he stayed out trying to regain his position on the lead lap. But Lazier wants to move around. Now, Scott Goodyear drops to the bottom on Jim. Is that Jim Guthrie? Eddie Cheever. Excuse me, that's Cheever. And Lazier's going to have trouble getting by. Boy. Whoa, almost in the grass. Boy. Buddy Lazier knows this is costing him dearly with Billy Boat. Billy able to keep the momentum up, could just reel Buddy right in. Buddy's going to be real anxious. Look at how much Billy Boat caught back up to him. Buddy just had to back out of it that little bit. Billy Boat erased a 1-second lead in 1 lap because of Lazier's trouble in traffic. Boy, momentum. Can't say it enough. They just got to keep it going. Buddy's got to try to get through these cars. And Scott, of course, doesn't want to go a lap down. So that's the last thing Scott wants to see happen. And Cheever is 1 lap down at the front of this pack. He doesn't want to go 2 laps down. Great battle right now. Once again, Scott Goodyear drops to the bottom. Cheever gives him plenty of room, but Scott Goodyear's unable to capitalize. Billy Boat right up behind him, right in the draft. We'll be able to see how good Billy Boat's car's working right behind Buddy Lazier's. Boat to the bottom of the racetrack. And you saw Lazier just come slicing down the banking. You saw hold back Billy Boat. You saw Billy's car wash away a little bit. Buddy's fiance Carol looking on. This is the best Buddy's run all year long. Trying to bring it home. Boy, they get close to that wall coming out of turn 4. And here's Boat. High, now low. He had the room, but again, Lazier came down and just slammed the door. You can really watch, once that happens, Billy's car sort of washes out a little bit. So I don't think his car can work quite as good as Buddy's can close in traffic. Last lap, 206.8 miles per hour. Whoa, boy, close running between Eddie Cheever there. Will he finally get up to him? Lazier almost nestled the front tire right up against Cheever. Now, A.J. Foyt looks on at his driver, Billy Boat. How quickly can he dispatch Cheever and pick up this lead chase once again? Cheever gives way. He visibly appeared to lift out of the throttle, let those 2 cars go. He knows he's already 1 lap down, and it's important to let the leaders run their race. You don't want to get in the middle of interfering with that. Nope. And that favor will be repaid someday. Oh, certainly. Sure. Boy, and again, Lazier has... Buddy can't get by Scott Goodyear, it seems. Scott's running awfully strong right now. Well, Scott Goodyear pitted at lap 152 and did not come in on this last stop, so he has a much lighter fuel load right now than the leader. Right, and he's probably a little borderline on making it to the finish, so it's going to be really interesting. I think Buddy's got to get by. Every time that he can't, boy, Billy Boat just runs up right behind him. It's so frustrating for a driver. I mean, I've been in that position before, and you're just, you know you've got a guy breathing down your neck, yet at the same time, you don't want to crash. You don't want to get in an accident, but you got to try to push as hard as you can to get by. All right, traffic continues to be an issue here. Let's go to Brian Hammond.
Ron Himmelgarn is beside himself. Look at the racing on the racetrack. Himmelgarn thinks a flag needs to be thrown and get Scott Goodyear out of the way. They think that Goodyear is blocking Buddy Lazier. They really want a flag to be thrown by the IRL officials. They are livid down here.
Well, last lap for Scott Goodyear, 205.8. Last lap for the leader, Lazier, 206.6. So perhaps by some slight margin, Goodyear is holding up the race leader. But it's not all that noticeable on the racetrack. No, all 3 cars are probably, obviously, our 3 fastest cars on the track right now. And what's been most interesting is, even though Scott's holding up Buddy, I'd say a little bit,
Well, Goodyear's picked it up. His last lap, 207.9.
Well, that's true.
So Goodyear does not seem to be holding them up right this instant.
What's interesting is Billy Boat hasn't been able to capitalize on it at all. I would have expected with the amount of times that Buddy's had his momentum ruined, Billy just hasn't been able to capitalize.
Last lap by Scott Goodyear, 208.7 miles an hour. The speeds continue to increase as the fuel load lightens.
Fuel load lightens. It's getting a little cooler out right now. There's not quite as much traffic out here. They can run almost flat out. Getting to the point where, you know, the final 30 laps, getting close to that, you got to start showing everything you have. Hold nothing back.
There's first to second, left side of your screen, Buddy Lazier.
Buddy's able to stretch it a little bit.
Right side, Billy Boat. And Scott Goodyear inching away from these two. There's Goodyear. You can see he's picked up a little distance now on Lazier. But if that was an opportunity for Billy Boat, he's unable to capitalize.
Well, both Scott Goodyear and Buddy Lazier that time running laps at over 208 miles an hour, while Billy Boat only ran a 206 mile an hour lap. So maybe Billy doesn't have quite the speed that Buddy Lazier does.
Let's go back to Brian.
Well, the people here down in the Scott Goodyear pits, they are insistent. They're just trying to hang on to the lead lap. They're not blocking. They're trying to go racing. If they get a yellow, they still have a chance to win the race. So there's no blocking going on here in their eyes. They're just trying to hang on to their position and stay on the lead lap.
That's a good point, Brian. And right now, Scott Goodyear is one of the two fastest cars on this racetrack. Leader Buddy Lazier the other.
And I think that's accurate, too. You haven't really seen too much defensive driving here. It's not like Scott's zigzagging down the front straightaway. He's just driving as hard as he can, trying to hope maybe for another caution while he's on the lead lap.
And he's pulling away. Last lap for Goodyear, 208.5. Last lap for Lazier, 206.9. Three cars on the lead lap. Buddy Lazier, Billy Boat, and Scott Goodyear just in front of the leader. Alfonso Giaffoni is one lap down. 2 laps back, Eddie Cheever in 5th, Kenny Breck and Tony Stewart. Robbie Groff is 8th, Stefan Gregoire is 9th, and Marco Greco is 10th ahead of Salazar, Paul, Guthrie, Mike Groff, and Suspiri. Of the 23 starters, 15 remain on the racetrack. Now traffic becomes an issue for Scott Goodyear. He pulls up on Mike Groff, who stays down to the low side. Plenty of room as you ride with Scott Goodyear into turn 1.
Scott right now is just trying to push as hard as he can, as fast as he can go. He feels the pressure from behind from Buddy, wants to run, just keep pushing the car, get every ounce of speed out of it.
Do you use the white lines for any kind of reference at a place like this?
Yeah, they help you sort of judge where you want to turn in, what lane you want to be in. Like right now, Scott sort of looks at, when he went into that corner, exactly where he should be, a little closer to the wall, dropping down to the inside. Generally, after they've run so many laps, the drivers become second nature. They know exactly where to be. They could almost drive the track in their sleep. Both these cars are now pulled away from Billy Boat a little bit, but they're still not really able to close in on Scott Goodyear. But boy, the gap has risen. It's now up to about a little over 2 seconds between Buddy Lazier and Billy Boat.
But look at this 5-car pack just ahead of the race leaders.
That's going to determine this. Boy, that's going to play out big time.
And Scott Goodyear is really going to have to work that traffic to stay on the lead lap here.
And I'd say Buddy Lazier has one of the best cars getting through traffic that I've seen all day, for that matter. So the advantage probably has to head towards him.
Mike King, what's happened to Billy Boat?
Now this now, Mike, is where the racer obviously earns his money, as Scott Sharp can tell us. Just talked to Craig Baranowski, who's the chief mechanic on this car, and he said that Billy Boat is not saying a word, says nothing about the car. He's doing nothing but gritting his teeth and driving this race car as hard as he can. So right now, the ball is obviously in Billy Boat's court.
Last lap passed, he was the fastest of our 3 cars on the lead lap. Billy Boat was, so he is gaining some ground, but the other 2 leaders are in traffic. So far, Goodyear in blue and white has been able to stay in front of the 91 car, but not by much. Brian Hammond?
Well, keep in mind, as you watch Scott Goodyear try to hang on for dear life and stay on the lead lap, he is very, very close on fuel. If they don't get a yellow, they may have to come back in for a splash and go.
Goodyear pitted at lap 152. Which means he would have to run 56 laps on this tank
I don't think he can do that, especially with these speeds. He's using up a lot of fuel right now. I'm sure he's praying for yellow, not only to save him on the fuel, but to give him that full lap back. He's running ahead of Buddy, but boy, Buddy's right all over him right now.
And this is tough. He's working on Stefan Gregoire, who has taken up a lot of racetrack. And the leaders were going fast earlier. Lazier may be content to single file this.
I think Buddy's going to push the issue. He really is. He's aggressive like this. Whoa, 3 wide going in. Wow, what a move by Buddy, up high like that.
And Gregoire took his half right out of the middle, and the leaders had to split him.
Everyone about equal trying to get through this traffic. Doesn't seem like it's playing into anybody's hands so much. At this point in time, from a driver's standpoint, no one's really talking to any of these drivers. They know where they are. They know who they have to race with, and just pedal to the metal as hard as they can push.
Scott Goodyear works the lap traffic. Now Buddy Lazier, the race leader, and Billy Boat is there again.
Oh, boy. Boy, that really played into Billy's hands.
For the lead, Billy Boat.
Oh!
They almost touched.
Boy, Billy pushed Buddy up a bit there, and he got the lead. This is interesting.
Well, if this is a 200-mile-an-hour chess game, Billy Boat played his moves perfectly, timing the pass underneath Lazier and the lapped car, so Lazier had to either steer or lift or go out in a blaze of glory.
11 laps to go. Buddy really didn't have much of a choice there. Lost any momentum he had, and Billy was able to just keep the power down. We're going to see now. I think Buddy's got the faster car. Here we go. Here we go. Wow. Buddy on the inside. Buddy with a wow. What an aggressive move.
Incredible.
Where did that speed come from?
Where did that speed and where did that cut and thrust in the traffic to just take the nose right off Billy Boat as they went down to turn 1? What a power move.
Boy, that showed some strength here. Boy, everyone has to be excited. And right back up behind Scott Goodyear again. Boy, I'm sure Buddy is fit to be tied at this point in time with the amount of time he has spent behind Scott Goodyear.
But now, Scott, they have an open track ahead of them. Traffic will not come into play for perhaps another 6 or 7 laps, and there will be 10 to go. There are your first and second place cars. Just ahead of them, Scott Goodyear is third.
I don't know. You know, I think Buddy really needed some traffic to hold Scott up and to get the run and maybe even get by him. I don't know if on a clear track he's going to be able to. They seem to be too equal down in turns 1 and 2. The only place he probably has a chance is turns 3. And you look, you see Buddy Lazier point. Oh, finally gets it. Finally gets underneath him. Buddy Lazier was pointing at Scott Goodyear. He knew this was going to maybe cost him his race, and I think Scott's probably really close on fuel by now.
Now, on the steering wheel of Scott Goodyear's car, you saw that 33.3. That's an indication of fuel used.
He has a digital display on his dash that tells him how much fuel he uses every lap, and it keeps accumulating. What that shows him that is if all the communications with the pit went out, once it gets to that number, he can't go another lap. He's got to pit. So he can just watch that on his dash slowly adding up. And once it gets to that level, he has to pit.
So when he uses 33.3 of the 35 gallons in the tank, he has to pit.
He has to come in.
Well, he's now 1 lap down. Scott Goodyear is, along with Alfonso Giafoni. They are 3rd and 4th. And the race comes down to Buddy Lazier versus Billy Boat. And there's Boat.
And Billy Boat was able to get by Scott Goodyear. So Scott must be trying to conserve at this point in time.
Scott Goodyear has a long gap back to Giafoni.
Buddy's fiancee Kara just can't believe this.
Looking on as we get down to the closing lap, 6 to go. Buddy Lazier looking for the first time in 15 months to win an Indy Racing League event. May 96 at the Speedway in Indianapolis.
Whoa.
Last taste of victory.
Inside of Tony Stewart, he caught him in a real hurry. I think it surprised him a little bit. Seems like the gap to Billy Boat's pretty much stabilized.
1.9 seconds. First to second. 5 to go.
And boy, this is hard right now on Buddy. He's out on his own. You start hearing all the little noises the car makes. You start thinking your mind really runs with things. You hope nothing, you hope everything can hold together.
No. The noise you're supposed to be hearing is the cash register.
Well, at this point, you want to get to the checkered flag first, I think, before you worry about the cash register.
Right.
Well, he's opening up now. It's 2.2 on Billy. Billy's got a little bit of traffic to deal with. 4 laps to go.
And Goodyear continues to run 3rd, but now 1 lap back. Giafoni in 4th, Kenny Breck in 5th. 6th is Eddie Cheever. Tony Stewart, Marco Greco, Stefan Gregoire, Eliseo Salazar.
Buddy's really had an up and down season. If he's able to pull this off, this would be a big thing for this team. They switched over a few races back, actually around 8,500 time, went to the Oldsmobile Aurora Motors. They've been primed for a good finish for a long time. All he needed to hold it on for is a few more laps.
And it shows a good bit of parity in this sport. The leader with the Dallara chassis on Firestone tires. Second place, Billy Boat with the G-Force chassis.
Goodyear tires.
Goodyear.
Yeah. 2 more laps to go.
First appearance of Indy cars in Charlotte, North Carolina since 1927 when they ran on a board track. According to Donald Davidson, our historian. And Buddy Lazier is just about a lap away from becoming the first IndyCar winner in Charlotte in 70 years. Lazier takes the white flag and heads for home.
And the fans are excited. You can see almost all, I think all 73,000 are on their feet right now.
Well, they've seen a great race tonight. A lot of passing, a lot of lead changing. And here is Lazier up into turn number 3.
One more corner.
Slicing underneath the lapped car. Buddy Lazier, Ron Hemmelgarn and team will be celebrating in victory lane as Buddy Lazier wins the Visionaire 500. There's Billy Boat taking the checkered flag in second. Scott Goodyear is third. Alfonso Giafone fourth. And Kenny Breck will finish fifth.
What a great day for Buddy Lazier. Wow, look at just how excited he is. He's really happy. What a battle. He drove his tail off to get to where he is right now. That's a great thing for that whole Buddy Lazier team.
We'll meet Buddy Lazier in victory lane when we come back to Charlotte Motor Speedway right after this. Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Mike Joy with Scott Sharp, and in victory lane, Buddy Lazier. Mike King is with him.
Yeah, well, here's the winner of the inaugural Visionaire 500, Buddy Lazier. And, Buddy, quite a battle out there those last 20 laps. You had one car that you had to get past before you and Billy could go racing there at the end.
Yeah, we really had a hard time in traffic, but it was just a wonderful race. My crew did a great job with track position. They really did, and it was just a hard-fought battle. Wonderful racetrack. It's so great to be here.
First time since the 1996 Indianapolis 500. This is one you guys have been waiting for.
We needed this bad. Yeah, so it feels really good. It feels really good.
As you can imagine, he's hot, he's sweaty, but he is happy. Buddy Lazier, the winner of the inaugural Visionaire 500. Mike?
Billy Boat, a hard-earned second. Scott Goodyear third. Alfonso Giafone fourth. Kenny Breck fifth. Sixth is Eddie Cheever. Tony Stewart led early, then struggled to a seventh-place run. Stefan Gregoire and Marco Greco, Eliseo Salazar round out the top 10. And John Paul Jr. and Jim Guthrie. Mike Groth was the last car, or rather Vincenzo Sospiri was the last car running. And Robbie Groth, Jimmy Kite into the wall. Davey Hamilton crashing with Guerrero. Sam Schmidt out with engine trouble. Mark Dismore lost an engine. Ari Lyondike handling. Greg Ray and Jack Miller mechanical difficulties taking them from the race. Indy cars come to NASCAR land. Scott Sharp, a lot of fun and a great race.
Well, it's impressive. It's great to see the IRL be able to come down to a new region like this and show what they can do. So it's 5 winners out of 6 races for the IRL, and I think a great crowd tonight got to see a great show.
Well, thanks for joining us. For Scott Sharp, Brian Hammonds, and Mike King, I'm Mike Joy saying so long from Charlotte Motor Speedway, where Buddy Lazier has won the Visionaire 500. Coming up next, the CBS Sports Show takes you to the gateway of the Midwest, St. Louis, Missouri, for live Pro Beach volleyball. Buddy Lazier has won the inaugural Visionaire 500.